Hi there, and thanks for coming to this video. If you're looking for some info on Jeanette Mintz out of Montgomery, Alabama, I've got some info for you. But before we get started, I want to send out some shout outs to A&E Network, Leah Remini, and Elizabeth Vargas for the good job they're doing on the Cults and Extreme Belief Season 1, Episode 2 on the Jehovah's Witnesses. You need to go watch it. If you don't know about Jehovah's Witnesses, you need to watch this because these are not the people they appear to be at your door when they knock at your door or when they're at the carts. Um, and this is Elizabeth Vargas. This is the A&E Network. They are going to expose Jehovah's Witnesses. Leah Remini is going to make a series on the Jehovah's Witnesses, just like she's done on Scientology. And you will not believe what you will see. But let's look at Jeanette Mintz. I want to tell you about Jeanette Mintz from firsthand experience. And one more thing before I tell you about Jeanette Mintz. I want to thank you personally, Leah Remini, for responding to my tweets. We in the ex-Jehovah's Witness community have been tweeting incessantly for almost 2 years straight. I know I have. And it was so great to see the news reports and the tweets of the court documents and all of the other things that we've shared with A&E Network, including our personal experiences. And I have tweeted about Zeb Henry and Jeanette Mintz and Cindy Taylor and Daphne Betso Wilhite, and they know about you guys. So yes, we have tweeted about the child molesters and Jehovah's Witnesses and the pedophile enablers that enabled them, and it was so good to finally have someone listen after all these years. And when you hear Romy's story here in Cults and Extreme Belief, you will be incensed, you will be disgusted, you will be so angry. She went to 30 elders. She was abused, sexually abused over 100 times, starting from a little girl. I think she was 4 years old. And for decades, they knew she constantly told people, just like I did, and they did nothing. And she had to endure it for almost a decade, 9 years, and her cousin was being molested too. They went to the elders, and the elders told them to shut up. Yes, she went to 20 or 30 elders. So yeah, let me tell you about Jeanette Mintz. This is Jeanette Mintz, the pedophile enabler. She was a Jehovah's Witness, a very devout Jehovah's Witness. She and her husband Gregory, allegedly he is dead. We don't know if that's true or not, but in any case, Jeanette Mintz, the pedophile enabler, this is the incubator that gave birth to me. And she not only knew about the child molestation and the violent beatings, but she instigated these things too. And she made sure to remove herself from the uh, everyday after work. And on the weekends, she was working, making sure that the pedophile and I were alone at home. And the first day it happened, I told her immediately, and she told me to shut up. She said, "Ah, come," and then she told me to shut up. And then later on, as the beatings progressed, because what she would do is instigate beatings against me on the hands of the stepfather. I don't really like calling him a stepfather, so I call him a step person because he was never a father. He's never really taken any interest in me other than for his sexual perversion or to lash out and let out his anger and frustration on me. So she would tell me that she's going to punish me for not cleaning my room or cleaning the dishes or doing chores. And she would tell me in German, she would say something to the, I'm going to try and translate it exactly how she said it in German. She would say, um, you don't really know me, but you're going to get to know me. And whenever she would have that threatening look, it was very scary because it was beyond just a parent trying to reprimand a kid. And she would take revenge on me for not cleaning up my room or for not cleaning my dishes and instigate these violent beatings where the step person would grab me. He would make me strip naked, completely naked, and he would grab me by the ankles and he would beat me with tree limbs and tree switches and the metal part of the belt buckle. He would the metal end of the belt where the belt buckle is. That's the part that he would beat me with, and this was starting at 8 years old. I mean, I still have a scar on my inner thigh, and I'm in my 40s now, from a beating where the laceration was so deep I could see the white of my meat. And even to this day, I have like physical phantom flashback pain from the beatings, especially when the temperature changes, when it gets hot suddenly or cold. I'll feel the same pain that I had, that stinging pain from those lacerations from those switches and tree limbs and the belt beatings that he would give me. And she was there. She was there, often in the same room. I remember reaching out to her one day while he was beating me, and it was so bad I thought he was going to kill me. You know, each of these beatings, I thought this time was it. But what he liked to do, he liked to punch me as if I was a grown man. He liked to take his fists and beat me. So he didn't really talk as much as he used his fists to talk. And I'd be this 8-year-old kid, 9-year-old kid, and just being beaten, blood everywhere. And I remember at one time I was screaming, Jehovah, Jehovah, please help me. Jehovah, God, please help me. And he would say, Jehovah says, spare the rod, spoil the child. And he continued to beat me. And I reached out for her. I screamed in German, Mom, help me, help me. And I was reaching for her, and I almost had like a remnant of the shirt that she was wearing of her on her arm. I was reaching for her arm, and she pulled her arm away in a really angry tirade. She said, get away from me, in German. And then the step person grabbed me and moved me to the other side of the room and continued beating me. So this is what we have. She's a pedophile enabler. Not only that, she instigated violent sexual abuse onto me, her own kid. And then she told me it was my fault, that I provoked it, that I provoked this, that children want this. And the step person would tell me that children want to have sex. And he would tell me that he was going to be my boyfriend and all kinds of sick shit. Yeah, and she knew it. She not only knew it, but she instigated it, and she fed off of it. She fed off of knowing it was going on and having a hand in controlling me as the child, and in using it as a form of punishment. Because I remember him telling me that if you don't want to be molested, then you don't act up, behave. So these two people here, Gregory Mintz, I don't have a picture of him right now, but if you can get me one, that would be really great. This is of course, Jehovah's Witnesses, and she, by the way, was a devout Jehovah's Witness. I think she left when she started realizing the stuff with Bill Boeing. She started not going. She's actually a fader. She's an active. I think she's I don't think she's ever really or maybe she has wrote them a letter or something. I don't know, but anyway, she was, at the time, she was a devout Jehovah's Witness. And I think during the tail end, because they knew I was going to lawyers and I was trying to seek legal recourse, and I was telling other people, I was going on the internet and going on forums and things like that, they kind of marked her and Gregory, her husband, the congregation. I think they just wanted to distance themselves from trouble, because they knew this was going to be trouble. And so they didn't really get in good with the witnesses anymore. So they kind of were pushed out, halfway faded. Those shady little marking things that they do to people, and sitting in the bushes and watching them and all of that. So that's kind of where she's at. She's in between the Jehovah's and not being a Jehovah's. She's kind of in that trouble limbo, like damned if she does and go back, and damned if she don't, because either way she's going to have to face this child abuse stuff. Let's move on. All right. Now, there is a case on this, on her and Gregory. So even though if he's deceased, this case can still be opened up because she's involved in it. And not only that, the Jehovah's Witnesses are involved in it. And I am told, this is allegedly, that there are other victims of Gregory. Okay, and he was a Jehovah's Witness for many years. He was there at every meeting. He never missed meetings. I don't think he ever missed a meeting ever. He was there for every field service. He was just he did everything by the book. He was a follower. He did everything except beat and molest his stepkid. So there's that, and that case number here is GJ, and it's Montgomery, Alabama District Attorney, NO dot 09/10-85, State of Alabama versus Gregory and Jeanette Mintz. Okay. All right. Now this is the Elder Zeb Henry III, He is from Montgomery, Alabama. This is the Kingdom Hall there, 447 Perry Hill Road, Montgomery, Alabama. And he knew about the abuse, the violent sexual abuse I was going through. And what he did, he also would instigate and bully me. He would bully me, and he would instigate more abuse, and he would feed them Bible scriptures. He would have one-man judicial committees with Gregory and Jeanette Mintz. And the funny thing is, he wasn't even in a congregation. Although my congregation and his congregation attended this particular Kingdom Hall you see here in this in this picture. Okay, so he was in the neighboring congregation here at this Kingdom Hall in the North congregation. I attended Madison, so um, he and his daughters, I was friends with his daughters, and I went to school with them. And so they knew about the molestation because I always told people. I never stopped talking about it at the Kingdom Hall. Of course, I was afraid to tell worldly people because they were worldly, and I thought, they were wicked. And you know how they scare you into thinking worldly people are going to kill you, or they're going to steal from you or hurt you. So I had no one to trust but the other congregation adults, the adults in the congregation and the elders. And I constantly told people. I constantly begged for help. I begged my mother for help, Jeanette Mintz. I begged her. The very first day I cried to her and I begged her. And when she told me, "Oh, just shut up," and told me that I was lying, it's not true, she went to the elders and she told the elders about Gregory molesting me. And they said for her to leave him, or that they could Bible study with him and then it'll go away. And then once he comes in, then they would need to have two witnesses to prove it. And that's exactly what she did. She went home and got him Bible studied into the Jehovah's Witnesses. So they embraced him. They knew what he was doing to me, and they got him baptized and got him in there. And then now two witnesses had to be in as proof to them. They needed two witnesses. So this is what I had to endure. But not only that, this elder here, what he would do, he would have one-man judicial committees with Gregory and Jeanette Mintz. And what he would do is he would feed them Bible scriptures that they would take home. And then when they would beat me, when Gregory would beat me like that with these belts and switches, strip me, make me strip naked. And, there's a sexual component to that. I mean, I remember being 14 and 15 years old, and you you are being stripped. You have to strip naked and get beaten. There is he would get off on it. I could see him just get a rise and just feed off of it, the power and the control and the sexual violence. So and also Jeanette would feed off of it too, because afterwards they would just go to the Kingdom Hall as if nothing happened and would just be so happy and hold hands. I think it was like a sexual glue between each other. The sexual violence that they did towards me and the abuse was something that they would feed off of and maybe use to hold their relationship together. It was some kind of weird thing. I don't know. But in this case, this guy also had his egotistical thing going. So he fed off of bullying me because I was friends with his daughters, and I guess because I was so outspoken about the child molestation, he didn't like that. And why, I don't know. Maybe it hit too close to home or something. I don't know. But this guy, he would feed them Bible scriptures. They would come home and they would. I remember this one meeting. Remember it so clear. He was feeding me the Bible scripture that Elder Zeb Henry had fed to them after the one-man judicial committees. And he would have these judicial committees about the stupidest things. One of his daughters alleged that I shot a bird at someone in school. And then one time he flipped his lid because I had this vest with all these pins. It was a denim vest, and I was at the fair, and his daughters, and he had taken, he and his family were at the fair, and I was just talking to his daughters, just trying to hang out. I was a kid. I didn't have a lot of friends. And he looked at I guess he couldn't find anything else wrong with me, but to find a pin. And I had this denim vest with, it must have been like 100 different little pins the size of the tip of your finger. Okay, they were little tiny things. You really had to look hard to find a peace symbol pin. Well, he saw a peace symbol pin. I didn't know what that was. I'm a kid. And anyway, he flipped his lid saying it was pagan. And I thought I was going to get disfellowshipped and beaten again because this guy was all just flipping his lid over this a little peace symbol pin on my vest. Yeah, yeah. This is the kind of man you're dealing with. A little egotistical, a little Napoleon. His other Jehovah's Witness congregants, they they really don't care for him either. They have a nickname for him. They have a short man syndrome, is what they tell me. They think of him that he has short man syndrome or Napoleon complex. But in any case, you have Jeanette Mintz here. This is from Google, so I want you to take a gander at that for a second. And you know, this is how you this is where she has her abodes. Now, Zeb Henry and the other elders, check this out. This is from Cults and Extreme Beliefs, Season 1, Episode 2, Jehovah's Witnesses, okay? And if you haven't seen that, you need to check that out on A&E Network. This is a court document, an interview transcription, 6/3/2003, Amy B. versus the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York, Incorporated. Now, this is what happened to me. The same thing, what happened to her, and this is what they do. This is what Jehovah's Witnesses do. She says, I was an outcast after my molestation had taken place. I was shunned. Children in the congregation or elders' children weren't allowed to play with me. And this happened to me. This Zeb Henry actually did this, and he admitted to it. I have some screenshots that I can do in a subsequent video. But in any case, you can look at the Zeb Henry video. You can Google Zeb Henry, or you can YouTube search Zeb Henry, and you will find out a lot more about that Jehovah's Witness elder, because there's a lot of info on him too. This is the Jehovah's Witnesses that Jeanette Mintz and Gregory Mintz and Zeb Henry are all, well, they were devout members at the time. I don't know what the status is of them now. Some of them may have kind of distanced themselves from the Jehovah's Witnesses. Naturally, you know, when you know, the proverbial feces hits the fan, you know, people try to run away and distance themselves from responsibility of things. Okay, but this is the Australian Royal Commission. They found over 1,000 sex abuse cases. And the judge here, Justice Peter McClellan of the Royal Commission, says, I don't know of any other religious organization which has the procedures with the flaws we have identified with Jehovah's Witnesses. And they're talking about that two-witness pedophile rule that protects pedophile. Basically, Jehovah's Witnesses, including Jeanette Mintz and Zeb Henry, demand victims of childhood sexual abuse to produce two adult eyewitnesses. Not only that, but they must be two adult Jehovah's Witness eyewitnesses. They can't be somebody of a different faith. Okay. And then not only do they have to be adult Jehovah's Witnesses, but they have to be adult Jehovah's Witnesses considered by Jehovah's Witnesses in good standing with the congregation. So if you don't have a good standing with the congregation and you're an adult Jehovah's Witness, you still don't count. Now, let me ask you, what are the chances of two eyewitnesses to child molestation? What are the chances of two adult eyewitnesses to child molestation? What are the chances to two adult Jehovah's Witness eyewitnesses to child molestation? And what are the chances to two adult Jehovah's Witnesses in good standing eyewitnesses? What are the chances? 0. So, yeah, that's Jeanette Mintz for you. She tries to distance herself from the Jehovah's Witnesses, naturally, as you can see, but it's not working because there's too much evidence. And she and Gregory Mintz are on the internal Watchtower pedophile database that they have refused to hand over to the courts and to law enforcement. Yes, Google that. They have been paying $4,000 a day in fines for 2 years straight until that lawsuit was settled. So they had to pay out. They'd rather pay a lot of money out than hand over that list right now. But a partial of the list is already out with Erwin Zalkin. It's heavily redacted, and it has to be under lock and key because of the illegal procedures. But we're making headway. At least we have a partial out. That's better than what we had before, and we are moving forward. All right, here's another. You can Google this. 1,000 plus Jehovah's Witnesses named as child abusers. CNN Live, church practice not to report. That's the Australian Royal Commission. Google Jehovah's Royal Commission and you will find out more about that. You can also Google BBC News, secret database protects pedophiles. The Jehovah's Witness organization keeps a sex offenders register that nobody outside the church is allowed to see, a former elder tells Panorama. And that is Bill Bowen, William Bowen. You can Google that. Silentlambs.org. Check that out. Also, you can Google this one here. News 5 investigate sex offender going door to door. And this was a guy, Wayman Ivory Chandler is his name. He was busted. He is a convicted child rapist. He raped his 8-year-old stepdaughter. He looks a lot like someone that we knew. In any case, yeah, what he was doing hypocritically, he was going door to door preaching, telling people that he's a Jehovah's Witness, and if they don't become one like him, then they're going to die and be destroyed. So Jehovah is going to save him at Armageddon and put him in paradise, this convicted child rapist. But since you're not a Jehovah's Witness, you're going to be destroyed at Armageddon and eaten by the birds. That's the teaching he and his Jehovah's Witnesses believe. Yes. So with that two-witness rule, of course he's never going to reoffend, because he knows it's super easy for pedophiles to get away with things because there's a two-witness rule. So yeah, Google that. News 5 investigates sex offender door to door. Google that. You're going to find out. It's K5 News out of Colorado, and some interesting stuff. Here is something for you to Google. Jehovah's Royal Commission, 1,006 secret pedophiles exposed. Candace Conti versus Watchtower. This is that was a landmark legal precedent. That was the biggest award to one single individual involving child clergy sex abuse in the U.S. history. Yeah, Candace Conti, and her attorney was Rick Simmons, by the way. So Bethel Elder Jesus M. Cano, Bethel International Missionary porn ring. Yeah, there is allegations and suspicions that the Jehovah's Witnesses have an international missionary porn ring, a child porn ring at that, child trafficking porn ring. Yeah. Here is Leah Remini. Leah Remini's going to do a series on A&E about the Jehovah's Witnesses, so be looking for that real soon. She's already helped us get our stories on A&E, and a lot of us are being interviewed, and I'm out here letting people know about everything I went through because I wanted to be seen and heard. So she's got the Shepherd the Flock book, page 72, and that talks about that two-witness rule. As you can see, you can pause this video a little later if you want to read through that. Above her is somebody that's trying to get their field service, their preaching quotas in. They're attacking Leah Remini on Twitter. So if you want to go in there and be part of the convo, I think you'd enjoy it. Jehovah's Witnesses also hide killers. They have a directive, a murder directive, a murder letter that you can see on the Zeb Henry videos. Just Google that. Or you can Google Jehovah murder letter. And you can go to watchtowerdocuments.org and email Barbara Anderson. She is a liaison for A&E Network and CNN and all that. And she has the court documents on her website. But this one here, you can YouTube search Kwahura Govan. He is a Jehovah's Witness serial killer. And this came out last year. So this isn't something that's, long ago. This is pretty scary. Oh, here it is. Here's the murder letter here. And as you can see, I'm just going to read you the highlighted portions. Like I said, you can pause the video if you want to continue reading the rest of it. But basically, it says at the top, we've received your letter of December 17 in which you inquire about handling a situation involving a brother who has been guilty of serious violations of the law in the past. You explained that you have received information indicating that this brother committed several murders and crimes before his baptism. You see that? He committed several, not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, several. That's serial killer. And crimes. So who knows what else he did besides murder? Murder is probably the worst, right? Murder, right? You're dead. So you can't get any worse than murder. So rape, child molestation, that's probably nothing compared to murder, right? Yeah, other crimes. Before his baptism, you ask if Florida law obligates some action on our part. What if he's a child murderer? What if he rapes and molests kids and kills them? You ask if Florida law obligates some action on our part. Florida law enforcement authorities have no knowledge of this matter. As elders, you have no obligation to reveal information of this type to authorities. Any information that you have obtained while fulfilling your duties as elders is strictly confidential. Remember that next time you see Jehovah's Witnesses, knocking at your front door. Next time you see him at the bus stops next to their carts, remember this letter, because you never know who's standing there in front of your door. What he does without paying his debt to society is largely up to him and his conscience. Since he's apparently a fugitive from the law, he obviously would not qualify for any extra privileges of services in the congregation. So what punishment do they give him? Well, they just say, well, you can't service. You can't work for free for us. You state that you have one report of his smoking marijuana with his coworkers, which may have been after his baptism. We assume that is the reason you feel a need to meet with him. So there, yeah, he's killed people and done other crimes. Probably, who knows? Maybe he's a child molester and a killer of children, because there's a lot of pedophiles in the Jehovah's Witness community. So, but the worst thing that they're going to focus on is him smoking weed. So, as you can see here on the bottom, if there appears to be substantial evidence of serious wrongdoing, then a committee should be formed to hear the case. So, smoking marijuana is more serious than murder to the Jehovah's Witnesses. As we believe you understand, it is imperative that the elders maintain strict confidentiality about his past. So please don't tell anybody about him being a murderer and what else. Maybe even a pedophile. Maybe he kills children. If the elders inadvertently reveal his past wrongdoing, undoubtedly it will result in major repercussions to him and his wife. So handling this case calls for good judgment and discernment. We trust you brothers can handle things appropriately. Write to us again if you need further direction. We pray Jehovah's direction as you endeavor to fulfill your weighty responsibilities as shepherds of the flock. We send our warm Christian love. So, yeah, like I said, you can get that from watchtowerdocuments.com, or is it .org? Barbara Anderson. And also, Google this one here. The Jehovah's Witnesses, this is recent news. Jehovah's Witnesses are involved. They're at the center of the deadliest shooting in history, the Margaret River Massacre. I think this is in 20-year history. So 7 dead, including 4 children. And this is Jehovah's Witnesses at the center of it all. Take a look at that, you see. Another thing, take a look at this. YouTube search Bethel Jehovah International Porn Ring. You're going to find out about those 300 plus child porn DVDs and CDs that they discovered in the headquarters there of Jehovah's Witnesses. And the guy, Elder Jesus Mkano, he's an elder like Zeb Henry. Well, this guy here was busted with those CDs, those child porn CDs, but he was also arrested for videotaping boys in the men's bathroom at the Chicago O'Hare Airport. Yeah, real nice people these people are, aren't they? So keep that in mind. I wanted to tell you about Jeanette Mintz and a little bit about something that you don't know. One of the things about her is that she can be the nicest person to people that are not in her family. She can be a very, very sweet, generous person to outsiders. But you don't want to be her family. You don't want to be her kid. That is a totally, totally different dynamic. This is a malignant narcissist. She instigated violent and sexual abuse on me. She fed off of it. And it was also used as punishment for not doing dishes, for not picking up the clothes in my room, not cleaning up my room, things like that, normal things that kids don't always obey. Kids don't always obey chores. But because narcissists are not matured at that particular emotional level, they're at a toddler level. So in her mind, me not washing dishes was a personal affront to her. It shamed her in front of her friends when I didn't come out of my room to greet them and didn't have manners if I walked into the room and didn't say hi to her friends. That shamed her, and she was enmeshing me with her because her own identity isn't solid, you see. So in her mind, I was an extension of her. And that's how narcissists view their children, as property and extensions of themselves, not as individual people in their own right, you see. So just wanted to let you know about this lady. And there's no statute of limitation in Alabama. She is on the pedophile database because the elders did take notes when she came to tell the elders about Gregory molesting and beating me and abusing me. She was her name was taken down and his name, and it was sent to headquarters, and she is on the pedophile database. So it's only a matter of time until that's going to come out. And we are not going to hesitate to contact law enforcement if they don't already know about it, to hand them over that list with her name and to go ahead and proceed further, because I'm going to say this, there are suspicions that there are other children that have been molested where she had knowledge of and covered it up, but we are not sure about that. But in any case, we do need to get some more investigations going. All right, thanks for watching, appreciate it.